Yo, ever wonder why some guys don't have to try and still win? Most men chase, beg, and bend over backwards, then wonder why they keep getting ignored. But here's the truth. Women don't desire men who chase. They crave those who draw them in with magnetic presence and emotional control. This isn't about games. It's about discipline, confidence, and a shift in your entire frame. And once you unlock this simple strategy, the rules change. Fast. Because the ones who attract don't chase. They radiate masculine energy, and that pulls everything to them. You're about to learn how. If this message already resonates with something deep inside you, take a second to like, comment, and share this video with someone who might need it too. You could be the reason another man finally wakes up. Let's break it down from the inside out so you never look at desire the same way again. How to trigger desire in a woman without chasing her. There's a reason some men walk into a room and women instantly notice them without them saying a word. It's not luck, and it's definitely not looks alone. It's something deeper, something primal. And if you're the guy who constantly gives, over-explains, or tries too hard, you're pushing her away without even realizing it. What she responds to, what makes her desire you, is magnetic presence, a controlled, silent pull, a kind of masculine energy that doesn't need to chase. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to build it. Forget what you've been told. Flowers, long texts, constant validation. That's not what lights her up. That's what makes her bored. Desire doesn't come from comfort. It's born from tension. The kind of tension you create when you hold your frame, remain grounded, and communicate through strategic silence instead of nervous over-talking. Ever seen a man simply exist in a space and command attention without lifting a finger? That's not magic. It's discipline, stoicism, and an unshakable self-respect. She can feel it, even from across the room. This isn't about pickup lines. It's not even about what you say. It's about who you are when you enter a space. Your value is felt, not spoken. Your charisma is shown, not bragged about. And your ability to trigger desire lies in your refusal to seek approval. Most men chase because they think effort equals reward. But here's the hard truth. The more you try to earn her, the less she feels pulled. The men she chases are the ones who don't chase her back. You don't need to be the richest, the tallest, or the most handsome man in the room. But if you master this one thing, emotional control, you become dangerously attractive. Why? Because most men are reactive. She pulls away, they panic. She tests them, they fold. But the man who stays calm, unaffected, who doesn't need her to validate him, he becomes rare. That's the power of a scarcity mindset. When you stop chasing, your silence becomes more powerful than their words. And she notices. Imagine you're at a bar. One man compliments her instantly, tries to buy her attention. Another man locks eyes for a second, gives a subtle smirk, and returns to his conversation without looking back. Guess who stays on her mind? It's not the one showering her. It's the one she didn't figure out. That's the pull of mystery. And it only exists when you let her come to you. When you remain rooted in your presence, you stop being available and start being magnetic. But here's where most guys sabotage themselves. The moment she shows interest, they collapse. They drop all sense of boundaries. They over-explain, over-give, over-text. In doing that, they kill the very tension that sparked her interest. Understand, she doesn't want to be chased. She wants to feel sexual polarity. She wants to feel your dominance, not over her, but over yourself. That's where the attraction comes from. Not from control over her behavior, but control over yours. That's the difference between chasing and pulling. Women don't want perfection. They want truth. And truth is, the high-value man doesn't perform to be liked. He exists in his raw, stable form. She doesn't desire a man because of what he gives her, but because of what he awakens in her. The man who knows his status walks with confidence and remains detached from outcomes. That man becomes unforgettable. He's not chasing, he's creating an experience just by being there. The rest can't compete because they're too busy seeking what he already embodies. Let's clear one thing up. Detachment isn't about being cold, it's about non-attachment to outcomes. You're not avoiding connection, you're avoiding emotional dependency. Most men get addicted to female attention because they haven't yet built their internal discipline. When she pulls away, they spiral. When she's hot and cold, they obsess. But the man who's rooted in stoicism sees it for what it is, a test. And instead of reacting, he holds his ground. That grounded presence, that's the kind of energy women crave but rarely find. There's a difference between ignoring her and standing firm in your boundaries. One is childish, the other is power. When you respond too quickly, overtext, or change your schedule for her, you communicate one thing. My time is less valuable than yours. But when you hold your line, when your ambition, purpose, and routine come first, she starts leaning in. Why? Because now you're not an option. You're the high-value man she has to earn. You flip the power dynamics without saying a single word. Now, let's talk about strategic silence. Not ghosting, not manipulation. Strategic silence means you know when to stop talking. You don't over-explain your value. You don't justify your decisions. You let space do the talking. This makes her curious. It activates emotional triggers most men never touch. You become that puzzle she can't solve, the man she can't read. Silence builds tension. Tension builds intrigue. And intrigue? That's the birthplace of desire. Say less, feel more. Hold the pause and watch her come closer. Think about this. Women are emotional by nature. Their attraction isn't logical, it's felt. That means your best move isn't a clever line. It's your presence. It's the way you breathe, move, and don't flinch. The man with emotional turbulence is predictable. But the one with emotional control? He's dangerous. He listens more than he speaks. He holds his frame even when she tests him. He doesn't fear rejection because he already chose himself. And when a woman sees that, something inside her lights up. Here's a quick exercise. Next time you're around a woman you're attracted to, instead of trying to impress her, do this. Slow down, talk less, observe more. Keep your energy tight, your posture upright, your tone low and calm. Let her speak into the space you create. This is how you project masculine energy. And when you pair that with charisma, she starts feeling something new, something rare. Something she can't quite put her finger on. That's magnetic presence, and it's 100% learnable. The truth is, we've been lied to. For decades, men were taught to just be nice, to suppress their edge, their dominance, their raw presence. But in doing so, they killed their sexual polarity. Women don't desire men who make them feel safe, like a brother. They crave the spark of the unknown, the excitement of being around someone who leads himself, someone with value, purpose, and confidence. When you stop asking for her attention and start embodying who you are, she feels it instantly. Let me tell you a story. Tyler was just like most men, texting too much, rearranging his day, always available. One night, a woman he liked canceled their plans last minute. Instead of getting angry or begging, he replied, "No worries, take care," and went on with his evening. He didn't text her again. 3 days later, she reached out, more interested than ever. Why? Because Tyler showed self-respect, not neediness. He held his frame, respected his time, and let his stoicism speak louder than words. That shift, right there, is where everything changes. When a man finally realizes that his energy is valuable, his time is sacred, and his silence has weight, he stops chasing. He starts pulling, and desire begins to chase him. From this point on, everything we break down will show you how to step fully into that frame, into that magnetic presence, into the kind of manhood that doesn't beg for attraction, but creates it by default. But first, there's something you need to hear. Every time you stay grounded while others react, you build quiet authority. And that's what makes you stand out. The man who doesn't flinch when she's hot and cold, who doesn't chase after crumbs, who stays focused on his ambition, he becomes a rare breed. That's masculine energy in its purest form. Not loud, not desperate, just solid, unshakable. She might not understand it at first, but she'll feel it. And when she does, she'll test again, hoping you'll still be there, still calm, still in your frame. Before we move forward, let's be real for a second. If this content is hitting something inside you, if it's making things click that never did before, it's not an accident. You're waking up to truths that most men never hear, and we're just getting started. So do this now. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment, because what's coming next is even more powerful, and you don't want to miss it. Let's keep going. This is where your transformation actually begins. Let's talk temptation. When a woman starts showing signs of interest, she compliments you, flirts a little, sends late-night texts, most men drop everything. But if you fold too fast, the game ends. Why? Because she's reading your emotional control. She's watching how you handle attention. If you instantly inflate, she sees you're not used to it. But if you stay steady, grounded in your stoicism, you communicate power. The high-value man doesn't fumble the moment. He lets it pass through him, calm, focused, unaffected. This is where discipline becomes your advantage. Most men chase highs, female validation, attention, affection, like it's a drug, but every time you chase, you leak power. A man with real confidence doesn't need her to tell him he's enough. He already knows. And ironically, that exact mindset is what makes women lean in. She wants to feel your center, your unshakable core. Build that by mastering your habits, your goals, your time. Masculine energy doesn't chase. It creates gravity. That's what pulls her. Sometimes doing less is doing more. When you slow down your responses, pause before speaking, and leave a little space between her messages and your replies, you create anticipation. That's strategic silence in action. It's not about being cold. It's about being in control of the tempo. She starts wondering what you're doing, why you're not always available. That curiosity grows into desire. When you master time and attention, you master attraction. Frame isn't about domination, it's about control over yourself. Remember, women feel energy more than they hear words. You can't fake magnetic presence, it's something you build. It comes from keeping promises to yourself, setting boundaries, and moving with purpose. The man who carries value doesn't need to brag about it. It's in how he enters the room, how he chooses his words, how he doesn't react to every test or trigger. She doesn't want a puppet. She wants a storm that doesn't flinch, calm on the surface, fire underneath. Don't confuse dominance with aggression. True dominance is quiet, calm, decisive. It shows up in how you hold eye contact, how you say no without over-explaining, how you keep your plans even if she tries to shake them. The more she sees you standing firm in who you are, the more she's pulled into your frame. She can feel it. Your world is already full. And if she wants to enter, she has to rise to you. That's status. One of the biggest mistakes men make is trying to win her. Like there's a scoreboard, and the more effort you show, the better your chances. But female psychology doesn't work like that. She's not looking to be convinced. She's looking to feel. Your need to win her is actually what makes you lose her. Flip the script. Let her prove herself. When you focus on your ambition, your goals, your mission, you make her curiosity do the chasing. That's the scarcity mindset at play. Here's something most men never hear. You don't have to prove anything. The moment you stop seeking approval is the moment you start attracting real desire. That's when you transition from trying to get her to letting her experience you. Let her observe how you move. Let her feel the calm in your voice, the depth of your focus. The charisma isn't in effort, it's in restraint. The more she has to wonder about you, the more you live in her mind. Rent-free. Now ask yourself, what kind of man do you want to be remembered as? The one who flooded her phone and begged for a reply? Or the one whose stillness stayed with her days later? The man who rushes to prove himself fades fast. But the man who walks with confidence, guided by his frame, who never loses emotional control, he sticks. He lingers. You don't need to fill silence. You don't need to compete. All you need is the courage to hold your ground. Let's take it further. What does it look like to live this? It means waking up and putting your ambition first. It means treating your time like it's sacred. It means you decide who enters your space. Friends, women, anyone. Your boundaries aren't flexible for validation. They're firm because your self-worth doesn't shake. Women aren't attracted to the man who bends for them. They're attracted to the man who leads himself, the man whose world is already full. That's masculine energy in motion. You don't have to cut off your emotions. You just have to master them. A stoic man feels everything. He just doesn't act on every wave. He knows when to speak, and when strategic silence says more. When she tests him, he doesn't break. When she flirts, he doesn't melt. He stays calm, composed. That's what builds trust, and more importantly, desire. She wants to feel safe enough to be feminine, and she can't do that if you're emotionally softer than she is. Here's a practical move. Next time you're texting or talking with a woman, pause. Before replying, ask yourself, am I leading or am I reacting? Most men reply instantly because they fear losing her interest. But interest grows in the pause. It grows when she doesn't know what's coming next. That's mystery. That's the pull of the unknown. Keep your tone light, your words measured, and never explain what doesn't need to be explained. That's how power dynamics shift in your favor. Now let's talk charisma. Real charisma. Not loud, not flashy, not performative. Real charisma is presence. It's your ability to own the moment without needing to dominate it. It's how you listen, how you hold eye contact without blinking, how you make her feel seen without ever chasing her approval. That energy is rare. It can't be copied. It has to be built. And you build it by doing the inner work. That means facing your shadows, owning your flaws, and staying rooted. Women are biologically wired to test for value. Not because they're manipulative, but because their instincts are built for survival. She wants to feel she's with someone strong, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So when she pulls away, delays a response, or throws a challenge, it's not personal, it's nature. And how you respond reveals your status. You can either collapse or hold the line. When you choose strength without aggression, dominance without force, that's when attraction flips into something deeper. That's when she invests. You may think this is all about her, but it never was. This is about you, your discipline, your leadership, your truth. Because when you step fully into your magnetic presence, you stop asking, what do I say to make her like me? And start asking, what do I need to become so that liking me is inevitable? That's a man with self-respect. That's a man living in non-attachment. That's a man she desires, not because he chased, but because he didn't need to. Attraction is a response, not a reward. And that response is triggered by who you are, not by what you give. Every time you think doing more will win her over, remember this. Women aren't drawn to effort. They're drawn to energy, your magnetic presence, your frame, your command of silence, space, and self. When you lead yourself powerfully, She doesn't just notice you, she feels you. And that feeling is addictive. She'll come back to it again and again because it's rare. This strategy we've walked through, it's simple but not easy. It requires discipline. It demands that you step out of the nice guy script and into your own power. That you master emotional control, let go of chasing, and start attracting by default. You don't have to manipulate. You don't have to prove. You just have to become the man whose confidence is quiet, whose value is lived, and whose presence says more than 1,000 compliments ever could. That's how you flip the script. Think about the men you admire, the ones women talk about long after they're gone. They're not loud. They're not desperate. They're not performing. They're grounded, calm, focused. They know who they are, and they never trade that for approval. That's what female psychology responds to. A man rooted in stoicism, who moves with intent and holds his space with quiet strength. That's who she desires, not because of what he does to impress her, but because of what he doesn't do. So from now on, don't just try to be attractive. Train yourself to become unshakable. Let her feel your masculine energy in every movement. Let your ambition speak louder than your words. Let your boundaries protect your peace. And most importantly, let your silence create desire. Because when you master this simple strategy, you no longer ask for her attention. You become the man who commands it, without ever saying a word. So now the question is, will you go back to chasing women who barely notice you? Or will you become the kind of man they feel drawn to, without even knowing why? You've seen what happens when a man takes control of his frame, masters his emotional control, and steps into his magnetic presence. This isn't theory, it's reality. And if you apply it, your entire experience with women will shift. No more overthinking. No more trying to impress. Just real, powerful connection. What part of this hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments and type this below so I know you're stepping into that power. No more chasing, I attract. And hey, if you've made it all the way here, that tells me something. You're not like most, you're ready. So thank you deeply for being here. Now do this for yourself and for someone who needs this message. Like the video, share it with a brother who's still stuck chasing, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. This journey is just beginning.